Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be taking a look at how to write a review. Now this video is going to be really helpful for anyone that is studying any level of functional skills, ESOL, or even if you're doing GCSE English as well. Now specifically this is going to focus on a lot of the writing skills, but we're also going to think about some of the reading skills as well. So if you're thinking about practicing for one of the components in particular, do stick with the video because it's going to help you out as well. If you haven't done so already, please could you like and subscribe. It really helps us out when you do so. If you've got a suggestion or anything that you'd like to see in these videos in future, then please do let us know and we'll try and create content that helps you the most with your course. So to start off with then, we already know that we're going to be looking through a review, and if you look at the images on the left hand side, these are just some of the typical examples that you might be asked to write about. So we have things like a review for a restaurant or a takeaway. We have a book or a film review, and you also might have to ask to be writing about a review for a location that you visited, be it on a holiday or also on a day trip. So we're going to be focusing largely on how to write a review, and we're also going to look at a typical review to see how we can respond to some questions around it. Now before we move on, it's going to be important to recall some of the different forms of writing or texts that you might be asked to produce in a writing assessment. So even though we're looking through a review today, there's no guarantee that you'll be doing a review when it comes to your assessment. So it's really important that you do familiarise yourself with the different types of text that you might have to produce, but also that you understand the typical kind of features associated with each one. And if you're unsure about this, or if you need to look at things like a letter, a blog, a leaflet or a report, anything else like that, please do check out all of the videos that go into these in more depth. So now if we think about the typical features that you're going to be having within a review, these are the kind of things that you'll need to include in terms of actually the organisational or the presentational features, and the things that are going to ensure that you get a reasonable mark in the assessment. So typical features are going to include: have you actually answered the 5 W's? If you're not too sure what we mean by that, we're going to go into that in a little bit more depth in the next part of the video. Have you wrote in paragraphs? So even though this is a feature we've included for a review, it is something you'd be expected to do for every form of writing that you produce. Writing in paragraphs is a really important thing to do because it helps us to organise and to actually make our writing seem clear and coherent and make sense. Make recommendations. So if you think about the actual purpose of the review, you're taking a topic that someone is actually interested in, that they're going to go to that length to research or to read about. So you need to tell them, is it something that's worth their time, their effort, or their money? Give a star rating. So typically we all know the value of a 5-star gold rating would mean that something is absolutely fantastic. It's something that you really must do. So using a star rating, obviously you can go with a 5-star or you can go lower depending on the quality of the thing you're reviewing. Really helps the reader and the audience understand how valuable this thing is that you're writing about. Topics. So typical topics that we went through before, you might be asked to write about a book, a film or a TV show. Now if you're someone who, let's say, doesn't watch many films or even read many books, don't worry about that too much because they're not going to ask you to be specific. So if something like this does come up, you don't actually have to talk about one that you've actually experienced. You can kind of make it up if you want to. You're not getting marked on your ability to tell us about a film or something like that. You're getting marked on your ability to use certain techniques and certain features to actually explain your reasoning about whatever topic it is you're writing about. You might be asked to write about a restaurant. Now we have looked through this as well, writing about a review for a takeaway in one of our previous videos. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please do so, and that goes into quite a lot of depth about choosing the correct words, the real effective adjectives that help to make that writing effective as well. And the final one, you might be asked to write about a holiday resort or an attraction. Again, if you haven't been on one for a long time, again, a lot of us did get that disrupted due to COVID, then make it up. Try and be a little bit creative because there's nothing worse than sitting there in your assessment and you're trying to think, you're trying to come up with an idea about to write about, and time is ticking on and you really don't get that much time really to answer the assessment anyway. So the important thing is to make up your mind, decide what you're going to write your review about, and then go with it and think about the features and the techniques that are going to get you a pass in this assessment. So as mentioned in the previous part of the video, one of the key things you need to include are the 5 W's. So what are the 5 W's and why do we need them in a review? So put simply then, the 5 W's, these are questions whose answers are considered basic in information gathering or problem solving. They're often mentioned in journalism, research and police investigations. When we're talking about the 5 W's, very simply, we just mean who. So if we're thinking about a review, who would like this program or this restaurant or this location? Where, so if it's a TV show, where can the TV show be found? Why, so why should you watch it? How, and then when. So even though how is not actually part of a W, because obviously it ends with a W, it doesn't start with a W, that would still count as one of the key questions that you need to talk about. So how do we use this in a review then? In order to give a full account of what we are reviewing, you need to address all of the 5 W's, and this will help give the reader a comprehensive understanding of what you're reviewing. If you are reviewing a restaurant, for example, and you tell us, what time you can go there, what kind of food is available, and who would really like this, that is great, really valuable information. But if you don't tell me where it's located in the country, then I'm going to be really limited to know how to access this food or to visit this restaurant. So you need to make sure that all of those 5 W's have been addressed when you're thinking about the first paragraph or the first or second paragraph within your writing. Look at the review below in preparation for the comprehension questions. So within this video then we're going to think about actually practicing our reading skills as well as thinking about the writing aspect as well. So here is our typical review. So the first thing it says, they're not a celebrity, get them out of here. So you can see there, because it's a review, it has been given a title, and you can probably guess from the basis of that title that we're going to be reviewing a TV show and one that's recently come back onto the air. Is there a more tired, more outdated show on earth than I'm a Celebrity? This show is on prime time slot on ITV every Saturday. Now that the new series has started, viewers spend the first 2 episodes scratching their heads in pure bewilderment at the so-called celebrities that once had their 15 minutes of fame. This programme is on at 7 o'clock every Saturday, and if you have a family with some very young children, they might find some of the antics funny. During the show, contestants are subjected to disgusting, terrifying, and often humiliating tasks, while 2 Neanderthal hosts giggle and laugh with delight. Not sold on the show? To add more fuel to the fire, you can even vote out the people you don't like. So strap yourself in, pick your favourites, and shout aggressively at the others. For a new season of the modern day freak show is here. Round up, round up. Now if you'd like to pause the video here and go through it at your own time, please feel free to do so. You can always come back and view it later, but what we're going to do now is we're going to move on and we're going to go through some of the comprehension questions based on the review we've just read. Quickfire questions. Use your understanding of the review to answer the questions below. Number 1. Look at the first paragraph. Replace the word bewilderment with another suitable adjective. Now this is a really good question to practice, and it's a very typical question that you get. It doesn't matter whether your exam board is AQA, Pearson or City and Guilds. All of them use questions that are very similar to that, so it's a really good one to practice. Number 2. Look at the following words. Identify the one that best describes the tone of the writer. And the words we have are enthusiastic, passionate, and irritated. So when we're talking about tone, we mean the attitude or the feeling that the writer is conveying through the use of words and phrases that were used in the review. Next one, number 3. Look at the line, contestants are subjected to disgusting, terrifying, and often humiliating tasks. What DeForest technique is this an example of? Now, if this is your first time of hearing of DeForest, this is a language acronym that tells you some of the most important language techniques that you need to know for both reading and writing. If it's the first time you've heard this before, don't worry too much. You can go back and check out our other videos that also go through this in more detail. Number 4. Who would enjoy watching this program? Select a quotation to support your answer. And the final question, number 5. Has the writer used all of the 5 W's? Try to justify your answer. So that's going to be one where you need to go back, have a look at the text and think, have they said when it's on? Why would you watch it? Who would enjoy it? Where is it and how? So think about all of those 5 W's that we went through earlier on in the video. I'm now going to jump ahead and start going through some of the answers in the next part of the video. Class feedback. Check your answers against the ones below. So for number 1, we were looking at the first paragraph and we're replacing the word bewilderment with another adjective that would still make the sentence make sense. So answers may include, but not limited to, confused, uncertain, and puzzled. Now if you've got a different word, then that's absolutely fine. The key to knowing if it actually works is if you replace the word bewildered and actually see if it still makes sense with the word that you've replaced it with. Okay, number 2. We're thinking about the tone that the writer has used, okay? So the best word to describe the writer's tone is irritated. Number 3. So look at the line, contestants are subjected to disgusting, terrifying and often humiliating task. What DeForest technique has been used here? And of course the DeForest technique would be a triplet. Now if you haven't put a triplet, you can also put a group of 3 as well. Sometimes we do change up the actual technique, but it means the exact same thing. Number 4. Who would enjoy watching this program? So if you look back at the extracts, it will say this: children might enjoy the program. A quotation to support this is, if you have a family with some very young children, they might find some of the antics funny. Number 5. Has the writer used the 5 W's? So they actually have used all the 5 W's. If we think about actually what they've said in the text, so it's told us where you can view the program, which is ITV. When is Saturday at 7 o'clock? Who? Children, that would be the target market according to the writer. Why? They might find it funny. How can they watch it? By watching it on the designated channel at the right time. So if you think about everything we've gone through so far, the writer has met many of the conventions that you'd normally associate with a review. The only thing they've really missed out there is they haven't included a star rating, which is something that is quite important, but I think from the actual tone of the writer, we can fairly easily assume that this is not going to be something that it's going to give a 5-star rating to. Look at the exam question and attempt the challenges that follow. So now that we've thought about some of our reading skills and we've practiced it by looking at a review, we're going to think about the writing assessment. So the writing assessment may say something like this: you've been asked to write a review of a TV show or a film for an entertainment magazine. In your review, you should include. Now within the exam, whenever you hear the word should, it means generally that you have to include it in there. These are the things that are going to get you the marks, or the things they really want you to focus on. So you should give them an overview of the film or the TV program. Use the 5 W's to describe the key details. Write in the form of a review. Use a range of DeForest techniques. Use sophisticated spelling, punctuation and grammar. Now a lot of these things, even though the features for a review are very typical for things like a star rating and things like that, most of these do follow the basic form of every writing task as well. So things like using your techniques, using sophisticated spelling, punctuation and grammar, writing in paragraphs, all of these are basic things you should be doing in every single writing task. Now whenever you are faced with an exam question such as this, the first thing to do would be to identify the TAP of the exam question. So when we're thinking about this, we mean what is the topic, what is the purpose, and who is the audience. So it goes topic, audience, purpose. So if you think about what the question is really asking us, the actual topic is a review of a TV show or film. The audience are going to be people who read the entertainment magazine. So typically we're going to be talking about adults, I would have thought. And the purpose would be to give an overview of it, to actually explain what the program's about and who would enjoy watching it. Again, referring back to the 5 W's that have been specified in the actual question here as well. So those are some of the key details that you need to pick out, and should be the kind of basic things that you're thinking about whenever faced with an exam question as well. The next one, super challenge. Identify the TV show or film you want to focus on, and then what would your 3 main paragraphs be that you want to focus on. So it doesn't matter what topic you get or what actual form of writing, the main thing you need to think about is, can you do an intro, a conclusion, and 3 strong paragraphs? And that's just going to help to create the proper kind of feel and the adequate amount of writing that you need for this assessment. And then the mega challenge. Use the example on the next slide to help plan your response. So if you do want to actually have a go at practicing this one, you can have a look at the example that we're going to include. Obviously this was one that was written for an actual review as well. So it's not necessarily going to be the one that you're going to produce straight away. So if you think that, I can't produce anything like that, then don't worry about it too much. It's about taking those steps so that we can get comfortable and confident and eventually get to that point. Look at the example and use it to begin your own response. So now that we've been through some of our sample reading questions and we've had a look now at the writing question, you can use this response to help plan your own response. So the example says then, this new series of Stranger Things takes viewers on a nostalgic 1980s journey as we follow the lives of 4 outcast youths fighting an ever-growing danger. 4 young boys are living the typical adolescent life. All they need to worry about is school, homework, and the occasional battle of Dungeons and Dragons. Their lives are unexpectedly turned upside down as they encounter a mysterious universe that threatens to bring destruction and devastation to the world. Together with a strange girl named 11, Millie Bobby Brown, the youths embark on a mission that will captivate every nerve in your body. This program reignites our love of classic horror and sci-fi while still managing to stay original in its own right. This is a must-see and our top pick for this summer's new programs. And you can see there at the bottom of the review we also have a star rating, and you can see that the person making the review has used 5 stars. Now if you'd like to pause the video here and go through it, there's some interesting things that have been done here. So if you think about the actual features that need to be used in a review, we've addressed the 5 W's, and we've also started to think about the language that's been used and starting to use a few of the forest techniques as well. So for example, you've got things like destruction and devastation, which we have just here being highlighted right now, which of course when you're repeating the same letter 2 or more times in close conjunction with each other would be alliteration. So this is by no means a complete response, it's literally just the start of a response, but if you'd like to use it and actually build on your own ideas, then please feel free to do so. It always helps if you have an example before you start your own writing. If you do want to get any feedback or anything like that, please feel free to comment us and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can with any tips and advice on how to improve your writing. If you need any additional support or help, then new videos will be added every single week. Alternatively, you can leave us a comment, like and subscribe, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. Now if you can't find anything on this channel to actually help you with your studies, then please do check out our partner channel Bookworm Teaching for more lessons and guidance on all things English. Thanks ever so much for listening guys, and all the best with your work and your revision in the future. Thanks again. Bye.